Breaking news is on Delhi Ordinance Dangal hearing in the top court. The Supreme Court Constitution bench may take up the Ordinance war. On Thursday, the Supreme Court is going to be weighing the Constitution bench need. The top court says the LG and Chief Minister must be able to work together. It's a big statement coming in from the top court, going on to say LG and Chief Minister must be able to work together, given the recent spate of disagreements that we've seen between the LG and Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Delhi Ordinance Dangal hearing is in the top court. The Supreme Court Constitution bench may take up the Ordinance war, and on Thursday, the Supreme Court to weigh whether or not a Constitution bench is required. Anisha is now joining us for the latest. Anisha, what more can you add to the fact that Supreme Court Constitution bench may just take up this particular Ordinance war, and in case it does, finally, can we see some sort of a closure on this?
Well, Shadi, there are two aspects we need to consider when it comes to this. First of all, the fact that the Supreme Court has been informed today that with the Parliament session starting on the 20th, this Delhi ordinance will be tabled before the Parliament. So very clearly, if the Parliament is considering the matter, then the Supreme Court will have to wait for the Parliament to pass an enactment. But the second and bigger point is that the Supreme Court has clearly wrapped both the LG and the Chief Minister of Delhi, saying that you're both constitutional functionaries. It is expected that constitutional functionaries will be able to sit together and create a resolution to this standoff. They have been asked now that it is not just about the appointment of the DERC chairman, but it's a larger issue. You are both constitutional functionaries. Please sit together and decide what has to happen. And the other thing that the court has said, and this is from the Chief Justice of India himself, that because of this ordinance, it seems that you have amended the constitution without actually amending the constitution, because what the centre has done via this ordinance, and this I must point out is a very, very big statement coming from the Chief Justice, that the point that has to be considered is that the ordinance or the Parliament, if it passes the ordinance as it is, would have barred the Delhi state legislature from passing any laws regarding the issue of services. Can that be done? That is the big question that is coming from the Supreme Court now, that when the Constitution itself says that the Delhi's elected legislature can pass laws about all subjects outside of police, land and public order, can you then bring in an ordinance which effectively bars the Delhi government, the Delhi state legislature, from doing so? And that is what the CJI has said. Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud as well as Justice Narasimha, who's sitting in the bench with him, have pointed out that this is the question is whether the Delhi state legislature, and I'm quoting here, can be barred from making laws about entry 41 in this situation. And what they've said is that you have effectively, by what you've done by clause 3A of the ordinance, I'm quoting the Chief Justice here, you said that the state legislature cannot enact a law about entry 41, which is services, at all. Can that be done? And that is a big constitutional question that the Supreme Court seems to be asking, and the Chief Justice has hinted that this matter may therefore need to go before a constitution bench of 5 judges. The matter is now going to be considered on Thursday, both with regard to the DERC chairperson appointment and the larger issue of the validity of the ordinance itself. So both in the Supreme Court and in Parliament.
Considered, Anisha, if you could clarify, is it a sure shot that the Supreme Court will be constituting this constitutional panel, or whether they're going to be considering whether a constitution bench is needed to address this issue or not?
At the moment, Chetty, what the Chief Justice has suggested is that he may need to send this to a constitution bench. Of course, the discussion in the open court had also centered upon when the constitution bench may be able to take up this matter, because Abhishek Manu Singhvi is appearing for the Delhi government, said that if it has to go before a CB, it should be done very, very quickly, because, and I'm quoting Mr. Singhvi here, this situation is wreaking havoc on Delhi's governance. The Supreme Court has hinted that since there is an ongoing constitution bench this week which is hearing a different matter, if that matter gets completed by Wednesday, then the Supreme Court may consider taking up this particular issue before a constitution bench very, very expeditiously. Remember, constitution benches are something that takes some amount of time and logistics to set up, because that means that while the constitution bench is going on, 5 courts of the Supreme Court cannot function as normal. So if there is a CB going on, those 5 judges are engaged only and only in hearing the constitution bench matter. But there is also the complication that the Parliament will be considering this ordinance issue in this very parliamentary session. So very clearly, if the court has to go into this issue, they will also have to weigh what the Parliament is actually doing about the ordinance, if the ordinance, what date the ordinance actually gets tabled, when the Parliament, the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha passes this. But it is a very, very important question that has already been asked by the Supreme Court judges themselves, that how exactly has the centre barred the elected government of elected legislature of Delhi from taking a decision regarding a topic, that is services, which is not, which is already within the power of the Delhi government. So it is a big question politically and legally that the Delhi government and the centre will now be grappling with.
You know, Anisha, your report clarifies a lot as far as the story is concerned. We're going to leave it at that and come back to you for more on this story in moments.